Lieutenant Tasha Yar's got some mad transporter skills. Commander Riker looks like an undefined form standing in a visual frenzy. And Captain Chorus dies well. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc, Lofton, and Denise Crosby.
Hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we're doing a review of Star Trek The Next Generation Season 1, Episode 19, Heart of Glory, story by Maurice Hurley, Herbert Wright, and D.C. Fontana, teleplay by Maurice Hurley, directed by Rob Bowman. This was March 19th, 1988. We have a very special guest today, the one and only. He makes you forget what decade you're talking about, VAUGHN Armstrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me. And I'm sticking to it.
Oh, yeah.
We also have a very special thanks to Grandpa One for sponsoring this entire season of Next Generation. Thank you so much, Grandpa One, a.k.a. Tim Baum. Vaughn, thank you so much for hanging out with us. This is your very first Star Trek role, is that correct?
It was my very first Star Trek role. And I had a ball. We got to do some hollering and some running around and shooting and stuff. It had everything.
It's like a boy's fantasy come true, you know? A little boy's fantasy.
Totally.
You're sitting in front of the death yell there. I'm in the middle. I'm the only guy you can't see, but you can see my forehead back there.
Wow.
Yeah, see, we
There you
invented
are.
that death yell.
Yeah, and actually, when I saw that, it immediately flash forwarded for me to when, spoiler everybody, Jadzia Dax dies in season 6 of Deep Space Nine, and Worf does the death yell howl.
Yeah.
But it's really powerful and dramatic, and you guys do it later. But Vaughn, can you tell us, just get us started with this? Were you a Star Trek fan before this? Had you watched the original series? Did you know anything? Or were you like, these guys want to hire me and put stuff all over my face, but whatever?
No, I watched it with my dad all the time. In fact, I watched it before that in college. After we got back from rehearsals, midnight, there was a double feature. There was Star Trek, and then there was Twilight Zone. And that's the way I let it all out. I watched those two things in order and went to bed. That was pretty much it.
And had crazy dreams.
So I was dreaming of all these creatures before I played one. It was, I got lucky. And I think this was the first time on television that they used this makeup for the Klingons. Instead of just looking like Russians, all of a sudden they're, they're animals, but honorable animals. But I think the honor came later. Because in our episode, we were just still bad guys.
You're right about the makeup. Yeah.
Yeah.
First TV episode. Sorry, Cirroc.
No, I was going to say, Vaughn, you said that you got lucky, but I beg to differ. Based on your performance in this episode, I would say it had very little to do with luck and everything to do with your skills as an actor. I had to rewind the scene that you had with Worf, that really poignant scene where you're getting kind of under his skin and starting to have this moment with him. And the way you said those words and the way, it just sounded like music coming out of you. It was a great performance. It felt like Shakespeare to me. It felt like as good as it gets when you watch somebody performing. I had to go back and write the words down when you say, so when the night was still and quiet and the sound of the blood rushing through your veins filled your ears. That is poetry, and the way you delivered
it is deep.
Yeah,
I didn't write it.
It is deep.
But you delivered it though, Vaughn.
Yeah,
you nailed it.
Well,
you nailed it.
Thank you very much for that. That's one of the nicest things anybody's ever said to me.
Well, they should be lining up saying that daily.
Yeah.
I mean, it is
Thanks.
It's just they're not watching it, like we're watching it right now, because it was some of the best writing I've seen so far.
It was good.
Yes.
No question about it. Hey, if I got to say shit like that, I may have stayed.
Yeah.
You're saying that with a
yeah.
straight face too, by the way. Everybody just listening, she's not joking there.
No. That's it's always been the writing for me. And you had the best writing, but in general, as a whole, in an episode. There have been little blurbs, there have been little sayings, there's been one sentence here and there that you kind of go, oh wow, Jesus. And I'm a writer, so I get the writing. But this was like, wow, this is just really beautiful stuff to be.
We were speaking the high language. We were doing Shakespeare. It's true.
Yeah.
Most of us have done quite a bit. I was in the middle of doing a bunch of shows at the Mark Taper and at the Old Globe in San Diego when I did this.
Wow.
But
well, that's why you could deliver this in a way. I mean, theater is where it's at for this, and with you saying that, I get it. It connects the dots because you flawlessly owned this language, and that's not easy. You can go off in little Lord Fauntleroy territory and start being all kind of flowery and florid, but you grounded this language in such a way that was real.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not real. We don't talk like that. We don't go, the blood flowing through my veins creates the atmosphere of consciousness. Whatever you were saying.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we don't. That's not. I mean, I as a writer, I'm aware of how we talk. Yeah. So we don't talk like that. So for an actor to take that language and ground it in choices and emotion and a character like you did was really good stuff, man.
I appreciate that.
Such good acting.
I was so impressed, Vaughn.
I'm telling you,
you guys. I'm getting verklempt here.
I was like, you know what? I don't think I properly given Vaughn his respect as an actor because I haven't seen your work really the way I just watched it now, and I say, wow, this is extraordinary. And I had to rewind it a few times because, like I said, it was like you were really connecting, and this is the first time we got to see the Klingons. I mean, a really Klingon story. So you're, in a sense, for me, defining what the Klingons are about. And their sense of fight and their sense of,
Bob
identity.
and JG told me that they insisted that they watched that episode when they got their roles as Klingons. They insisted they watched that one first.
JG is here with me at this con, so I will be forced. I'm going to just tell him that first thing in the morning.
Well, I did Romeo in 1967, I think, was my first Shakespeare. I was 17 years old. And I thought, if I can make this believable, if I can make this real, I can make anything real. So that's what I started doing Shakespeare with. That was the idea that I started doing Shakespeare with. You can't just be spouting poetry. You want to make them feel your heart, so that's what you do.
And see a real human being or see a real Klingon. This is, a real real being.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody at home, when he mentions Bob and JG, by the way, that Robert O'Reilly, who plays Gowron, and JG Hertzler, who plays Martok, they said that they watched his episode to kind of pull from to portray their characters later on. But Vaughn, what did you pull from? Were you guessing? Were you talking with the director? Did you base it on what you saw in the movies and the original series? Where'd you get that?
Well, there was a lot. I was kind of born to play that role, and I wasn't that
Apparently.
long out of Vietnam. You know, I'd been back for about 12 years or so. So there was still this warrior guy that I felt in me.
Oh.
And this was kind of a good description of that. I did not get the first scene right, you know, and that was because I was lying. And so I was trying to be a nice guy to these people. But really, what I should have done is lie about being upset about what they did to me so I could get a better start on that character. But I'm, like you said, doing, you know, a dream language to kind of try to fool them. I don't think it worked. I saw it not long ago, and I should have started with an angrier core instead of pretending to be so sweet. You know, if you watch it again, keep that in mind. That first scene, and also the first scene when I had all this dialogue, I didn't have the teeth in. You know, so then they came in they weren't ready. So they came in for the next scene and they said, Vaughn, you got to wear these. I said, what? You're kidding me, right? I'm supposed to talk with those in my mouth? And they said, yeah, you got to do it. You got to. I said, I just did a whole scene without those teeth. Much for that, the first scene. Too.
Wow.
And then I put them in, and it was like having pool balls in your mouth, you know, while you're trying to talk, marbles. But
I think it was good that you did it the way you did. I know you say in hindsight you'd like to start out a little meaner, but what I liked about it was you started out kind of soft, thinking that you're dealing with the Federation and just these other guys that you don't know. What made you become more yourself was that there was a Klingon there in Worf. And that lets you kind of let your guard down and say, look, buddy, this is what the deal is. I'm going to let you in on something because you and I have a kinship and this thing that beats the side of us. And I thought that's what made it work for me, that you were letting your guard down because you knew you had a friend. You knew you had somebody who was going to advocate for you on your behalf, at least from the way you see things.
Right. And there, the setup, you know, the Klingon connection is far greater. I mean, they're trying to set it up that it takes relevance. You know, it's the number one priority of, you know, whatever uniform you want to put on, whatever, you know, style or progression or traveling you're doing as a Klingon, we are at core always this, and this rides out, this takes priority. You know, this is beyond, and that was, you know, that's a wonderful social psychological notion that, you know, Star Trek plays around with. Like, are you going to be that? Or are you going to be us? Are you going to be who you really are? Are you going to be the new you?
And there's even an acceptance there. So when that death ritual happened and you first killed the other Klingon that was injured in the beginning, and you decided, okay, I'm going to put him out of his misery and kill him, and you guys do that scream, Picard and the rest of the crew are saying, they're not objecting to it, right? They're not saying, hey, what are you doing? You can't kill the guy. You know, there's rules here. They're accepting that culturally, this is a Klingon thing. You guys handle it your way, and we are allowing that to be kind of a cultural, you know, ritual of yours, that how you finalize this person's last moments.
Well, it even scared me.
Yeah,
that's
it
was pretty
so
moving.
Cool.
Just we're yelling to the heavens that a Klingon warrior is coming. And that was kind of difficult too, because back then I had bad teeth, and I do this thing And they want him to take a real close up in on my teeth, and I'm not. I don't think you want to do that. And they did it anyway, and they said, "No, Vaughn, you're right. We don't want to do that." I had
That's
a fair
so
degree of
funny.
cavities at that moment that I got in Vietnam.
Well, we look
Yeah.
at, I mean, we look at stuff, in the 70s and 80s, and you catch actors opening their mouths wide and you see all this, metal fillings,
Yeah.
and you just
Plenty of
go,
that.
"Oh, okay, even with I've caught it on this show, I caught it with Geordie the other day with LeVar, and he has, regular fillings. We all have. I've got a couple still, and
Yeah.
they're metal, and you just go, well, in the 24th century, I don't know, I mean,
Nobody has cavities.
nobody has a cat. You just go, zzz, and you're done, abracadabra, mouth is pure. Yeah.
And that's what the guy said, actually. He said, no, you've got too many cavities. I
Yeah,
said, they're not cavities. They're fillings.
That's right.
And they're
Right.
caps. They're not cavities.
Right.
They were formerly cavities.
Yeah, they were.
I really love that scene though, and I think this was Worf's first episode, so you essentially are, Worf as a central theme of an episode. This is Worf's main episode in the first season. This is
Story, yeah.
yeah, we're breaking Worf's character essentially because he's an ancillary character essentially up until now. Now we're actually getting backstory on where he came from. He talks about being adopted by this family and moving to Galt. But I really felt like you were, touching the nerve that people who have difficulty, tracing back their identity and their lineage. When somebody doesn't know where they come from, there's an insecurity about that, and you were pushing on that nerve of Worf, like, yeah, they treated you like this because you weren't like them and you were different, and you didn't know where you came from, and this and that. And so that's a common thing that is done when people are trying to get under your skin or find a way in deep. Psychologically, I love that, but I loved how you delivered the lines once again, in performance wise, when you say, I understand why you can't relent or repent or confess or abstain. And I just had to go back and watch that at least 10 times because it was so musical, Vaughn, and the eyes and the passion.
Vaughn,
some excellent scene.
It was
you killed
so great. It was so interesting. I don't know if a little bit about, my involvement here, but I have not seen the shows since they first aired 35 years ago. And, so I'm seeing them for the first time from a 35-year, arm, a distance, and safely with these two guys who are walking me through, my own career, so to speak. And it has been so delightful to watch the process and the progression of this show and my own self in it. But what a gem of a performance you give. And I just can't wait to hug you the next time I see you and just
I'm going to bring a copy that we can watch together.
in my cabin on the cruise ship. Okay,
that's what I'm talking about.
In a few months, baby. Don't bring your wife. Okay.
No, she's coming.
It'll be good. It's like, just bring your ukulele. Okay, that's
I don't
all
go
I
anywhere without it.
Yeah,
Great
right?
on the ukulele.
Yeah.
But you can see why, Vaughn, they brought you back more times than any other person. It makes sense now based off of something like this. It's like, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Well, this guy is amazing.
Thank you. But when I did that role, I thought, shit, there's no reason I can't do it.
When they kill you in the first.
Even if they kill me, I can.
There is an advantage to prosthetics.
Yeah. like my song says, give me a forehead, put me back on TV. You know? But that brings up a story. I was in the Globe again. I did like 10, 12 shows at the old Globe. And Jack had a policy, Jack O'Brien, the director, of you can't do anything else while you're down here. They wanted me to do a Cardassian, which I think was my second role. And the people are, the stage managers saying, no, you can't really go. And I'm thinking, no, I'm going. So I called Jack and I said, Jack, I am begging you. This is a true opportunity right here for me to get something going. And I need to go do this. And yeah, Vaughn, we're gonna make it work. And I went back later, and Richard, what's his last name? Who's passed on since then, but
Richard Arnold?
No, at the Globe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he said, I heard, Vaughn, that you were begging him. Please, really, it's just one role. I'd like to see him now and say that turned into 36 years of employment.
Yeah,
which it did.
Gift that keeps on giving. Absolutely.
It keeps on giving. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's
well,
just one role.
Rightfully so. Watching this episode, this probably created the impetus, I would say, or certainly contributed to the idea that this could be something that we could, because there were a lot of dogs before this, a lot of dogs scripts and I mean they're
dogs
just
and snakes,
dogs and snakes and all kinds of shit. But this kind of was like, yeah, this is good stuff. If we go there, we got something, and just seeing the Klingons, it was just something so tangible and we could it was exciting, and we'd never seen anything like that, and it was vibrant and it was good for the show. I mean, the whole thing was good, I think, for the series.
I think you're right, and they had that in mind because Rob Bowman was saying, here it's been to this point talking heads a lot.
Yeah.
And we want something with action. So I want you guys to be the bikers of the universe, he said.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, give me a bike and I'm going, know. And like I said, I still had that, that kind of pent up need to let crap out of Vietnam. And this gave me that opportunity just to yell it out,
Wow.
So I was ready for this role.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, if I don't get this role, I quit.
Really?
I was ready to quit acting if I didn't get that role, because it was so much me at the time. I just said, I can't not do this role.
Vaughn, now that you say Vietnam, it's interesting because, the character is essentially wants to be on his own and almost disavowing the whole military complex of the Klingons. In some kind of way, I feel like, he's trying to get away and just, do his own thing and doesn't want to be in that Klingon military system that they have, and almost fighting for his independence, his freedom. So there was a level of that in the character.
Well, he was fighting. Yes, go ahead, Vaughn.
No, I was just giving a brief answer. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, like, he's fighting for the integrity of who he is.
Of individuality.
Yeah.
That's
individuality.
Yeah. Do what I want. And what the drill sergeants always said to me, can I say fuck on this show? Or
Yes.
said,
Oh,
"Who
yes.
the
You can't
fuck
say
do
the
you
fucking
think
F
you-"
word, bro.
Okay. He said, what the fuck do you think you are, an individual? And I said, yes, sir, yes, sir. Isn't everybody? And he
Well,
said,
of
you take
course.
50 laps right now. Okay. So I'd do my 50 laps and come back and be an individual. You know?
So yeah,
So
you lined
so
up.
you channeled that into
Yeah.
this character.
Hmm.
And that happens sometimes, you know, as actors. Something lines up so well, and you learn something about yourself as a human being, or you kind of you go through something by playing this role that you reveal to yourself, or you exorcise out of yourself, or you know, confront yourself in. I mean, that's this really wonderful, magical, spiritual, you call in the spirits. I was watching something, what was it, the other day, and they were talking about acting. You've got to bring the spirits, you've got to invite the spirits. Something other happens.
Hmm.
You know?
That's something that I often have a little too much of in my roles. I have a little too much of that spirit sometimes, and I try to make it real. But
You know, there's a great book. There's a great book for, you know, for our audience. It's called The Mystic in the Theater, and it was written by Ava Le Gallienne in the 20s, I think, and she was a great American precursor to the method, and you know, had studied Duza and all these, you know, great actresses. But I remember, it's a thin, beautiful book about acting and what you must bring to the stage. You know, it's not just this technical marking your marks and saying the lines, but you conjure things.
yeah,
Oh, I know what I was watching. Irma Vep, remake of Irma Vep, the French film, and they made an 8-part series on HBO Max, and it was really interesting. And I recommend it to everyone. We're going really rogue off of Star Trek, but talking about you are making me think of this experience of actors being able to bring this life force experience into their performance, and you see when it happens and you see when it's not happening. There's a huge difference.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell that was you, Vaughn.
I know. I mean, you can transform yourself.
I was looking at this character and I was thinking, I know that's Vaughn. It's got to be Vaughn. It must be Vaughn. That's Vaughn. But I couldn't see you. It was crazy. I couldn't see Vaughn Armstrong. I could only see this Klingon that I was looking at. And the person that you are before me kind of disappeared behind that character. I thought that was another fantastic thing that you did in delivering this performance.
you guys are generously perceptive. You're smart people.
Well,
But,
sorry.
yeah, I know of another book that kind of invites you to get into a character like this. It changed my career, really. It's again a skinny little book. Stockwell's, not Dean, but Guy Stockwell.
I was thinking Dean.
Brother was quite an acting teacher, and he wrote this book. And he shows you how to get the inside of the character first. Don't sit there and just try to memorize lines. You know, basically, it's an audition book. It's called the Cold Reading Advantage, but it works for everything.
Right.
You get the inside first. You know, when was the last time you were with this person? What do you want to do to that person? What do you hope that person is trying to do to you, or what do you think they're trying to do to you? What was the last scene you had with them a minute ago or 30 years ago, or whatever. And it gets you to look at this kind of thing. And by the time you're done doing that with the script, you know the lines. You know, he says the script is the menu, the behavior is the meal. So he gives the actor the chance to experience what behavior these things might bring before he starts trying to memorize the lines. And then you just got to clean them up a little. You've already got them. You've created this whole history by looking at the script. And then you just kind of clean up the lines. And that does what you were talking about, you know?
Well, Vaughn, we do have to run to our break and let you go in just a second. Before we do, I just want to echo what Cirroc was saying, that last point that he made about I had to keep checking to make sure that was you, because that character was just such an individual in and of itself. It didn't feel like Vaughn playing a Klingon. It felt just like this Klingon character. And I kept going, wait, is that still Vaughn? Man, that is like unbelievable. We're so grateful that you got the role and so grateful that you joined our show. We are lucky for it, and Star Trek The Next Generation is lucky for it, and the fans are lucky for it. But thank you so much, Vaughn.
Yeah.
You guys
Thank you, Vaughn.
for clamping me.
I am so happy that I got to revisit this episode and see just the level of your talent and what you brought to this role. It is
Thank you so much.
impressive.
This has
Hear,
been
hear.
nice, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
All
you,
right.
Vaughn. What a
I
showcase.
had a great time here, too.
Everybody
All right.
stick around. This was Captain Chorus. On IMDb, it says Commander Chorus, by the way. Kind of weird, but you're definitely Captain Chorus, as they mentioned in the episode. So no demotions, please, IMDb. So thank you very much. Everybody stick around. We will be right back on The Seventh Rule.